Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to How to Become an Animator. I'm Sir Wade, and today I'd like to share with you some tips that I've picked up for your next big convention or networking event or whatever it is where you have to go and sell yourself, maybe show your work, and just meet lots of people. Not everyone does those events the same way. Some of us are more extroverted, some are more introverted. I totally get it. Hopefully what I'm sharing will be helpful to you if you've been to a dozen or more conventions, or if this is your very first thing that you've ever gone to like this. Now I'm gonna focus the experience of this video on those going to CTN, which is the big animation convention that happens every year in November in Burbank. And if you want more details on that, I made another video about the tickets and what the event has to offer and just some highlights that I wanted to share. But it's a perfect example because I think CTN is the first convention that I ever went to. I was a student when I went the first time and I had never been to any other kind of big event like this. So I was probably the most ill-prepared going to it, and now I feel super prepared every time going back, having gone to a bunch of different things, pooled all that experience. And now I want to share with you some things to bring, some demo reel advice if you're bringing your work to show to people, which you definitely should, and your mentality of what to expect and how to think about what you're about to get yourself into. One last quick thing for those of you who are going to CTN this year, and if you're watching this before the event has happened and you still have time to buy a ticket, use my promo code, you'll get 10% off your ticket on anything except for the VIP ticket. Another video I made will talk about the details of all the tickets, but anyway, this saves you 10% and gets you in 1 hour early. So starting off with things to bring with you, make sure to bring with you a sketchbook or a notebook, some pens, markers, pencils, something to write with, because you're going to learn a lot. Whether you're going to panels or you're just kind of observing things or who knows, you should always have something to write with just in case you want to take some notes. Business cards are a great investment, and you should always try to make them somewhat memorable. You can have just a regular business card that you buy at Staples. Staples, by the way, next day printing or same day sometimes. Super cheap, good place to do it. But regardless, you want to have some business cards with you. Hopefully they're memorable, they're good quality, and they're not a weird size. You don't want something that's too big that it doesn't fit in people's wallets or something. That's really annoying when you get a card from somebody and you have nowhere to put it. Try to stick to a more or less standard size. It makes it a lot easier for people. And if you have the option for thicker or thinner cardstock for the type of paper that the cards are made out of, don't go too thick, because then you can only carry a few in your wallet or in your business card holder or whatever. And then it takes up more space for the other person if it's in their wallet. And that can get really annoying if you want to hold 10 business cards and one person's card takes up the space of 3. It's just inconvenient and not that considerate. Here's what my card looks like. It's unique to me. You guys probably remember this video, but this is a good representation of what I do. I also have my name written really big, what I do, and all the other information that people would need to contact me. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't even have to be this fancy. You just need something to show who you are and what you do. Next, if you enjoy art, if you enjoy having, framed art or prints or stuff from your favorite artist, you should bring some cash or your credit card. But tons of artists are going to have booths at the expo hall, and you can walk around, see all the cool stuff, and you can buy art from people. Every year, I never really think I'm going to buy stuff, and then I pass a couple of booths that just have the coolest stuff, and I either kick myself for not having money and I have to go to the bank the next day and come back, or luckily they have a card reader and I just swipe. Next, portable charger. You should definitely have at least one portable charger for your phone. Don't forget the cables that go with it. It's a long event. You'll be using your phone if you're waiting in lines or something. You might be sad if you get to the end of the day and you don't have enough juice to call your Uber. Another thing while you're waiting is snacks. I don't know what this is. I just picked it up. I have it in my office, but you should definitely have some snacks with you just in case. Another thing is fun shirts. It's a fun way to express yourself and to show maybe what school you go to. I have an animation mentor shirt and I wear it every CTN at least one day because I like to walk around and see who else has the animation mentor shirt and connect with those people. But you should wear stuff that represents you and what you like. It's a fun way to just connect with people, and it makes it easy to break the ice and start conversations with people if you can look at their shirt and have something to talk about. That way, if you're standing in line next to people awkwardly and don't know how to start a conversation, you can use those tools. And so if you are not comfortable starting those conversations, you can wear the shirt and hope that somebody else might. Now let's start diving into the deeper stuff. You're gonna want some kind of a device to show your work on. If you are an animator or a storyboard artist or an aspiring modeler, surfacer, texture, lighter, character designer, illustrator, whatever it is that you wanna do, you should bring the stuff you make with you. Now, you may not be super comfortable with it, and I know a lot of really talented people who every year I'm like, oh, did you bring your stuff? I can't wait to see what you've been working on. I'm like, no, I didn't bring it. Like, I don't want to show it. I'm not ready. It's not done. No one's ever done. It's okay. No one's judging anyone. So you should definitely bring your stuff and take it as an opportunity to get some great feedback. So you want to bring some kind of a device to show your work. Now, I understand here your choices can be limited if you happen to have a large device like an iPad. That's a great option. If you have access to a tablet, you should bring it, whether it's a Samsung tablet, an iPad, or a Surface Pro, doesn't matter. If you have a largish screen, you should put your work on it. If all you have is your phone, that's okay, it's better than nothing, but it is hard to see the stuff on a phone. So at that point, you might want to consider your laptop. And it will matter whether your computer is super slow and old, or if it's something newer that loads up pretty quick. So just, be aware of how much time you need to prep before you end up getting to somebody. Don't pull out your super slow computer the moment you get to them and be like, okay, it needs about 7 minutes to boot. Just give me a second. Not everyone has that kind of time. Now here's something that people always forget. You're going to have your work on a device of some kind, hopefully, and you're going to give it to them, and they're going to give you all kinds of great notes and feedback. do not sit there trying to remember all of it. You should have another device, probably just a pad and paper, where you can write down the notes. So bring your device, but also bring a pencil and paper and have both ready when you're doing feedback. It seems like a no-brainer, but I can't tell you how many times people struggle with that one. Now, going deeper into demo reel advice and portfolio tips, do not rely on the internet. If your reel is on Vimeo or YouTube or something, download it. Put it on your device. Make sure it is on your device in an app ready to go. And my recommendation is test the app, get 2 or 3 different apps loaded up with the thing. If you've got an iPad or something, have it in Photos, have it synced offline in Google Drive, have it maybe synced offline in Dropbox, download another movie player thing and put it in there. Just in case one of the apps crashes or you have a problem or something goes weird, you wanna make sure that you have a backup plan so that you can always show your stuff. Make sure your work is downloaded and on the device's local drive. Depending on what kind of device, whether it's a computer or a tablet or a phone or whatever, you should make sure that you can scrub properly, because if someone wants to kind of play back through a certain section of your work, or they want to go back and look at another piece of art that you've made, you should have the precision to go back and forth frame by frame as close as you can get it. If it's one of those apps where you move the little slider and the video doesn't change until you release, that's a bummer, because then you're gonna be rewatching parts if they've gone too far or they're not gonna go far enough, and you're gonna waste time trying to scrub when really they could be giving you great reviews. So make sure the app can scrub properly, bottom line. Now, if you're feeling especially confident and you have a device that you can draw on, whether it's a Surface Pro computer or an iPad or whatever, and your phone has hotspot capabilities, which means you can share your internet from your phone to your tablet, or maybe the tablet has its own internet. If you're in that situation and you're not relying on external Wi-Fi, you might consider putting your work, as well as downloading it, on something called Sync Sketch. If you haven't heard of Sync Sketch, I'll probably do a video on that specifically at some point, but it's a review tool where you can draw on top of animations and you can do notes and you can collaborate across the world. It's an online platform, really cool resource, and it's free. But if you're confident about your internet, you can actually give someone your device and a pen and say, hey, feel free to draw on this frame by frame. It'll sync to the cloud. I'll review it later. Then they can draw on your stuff and they don't have to just tell you, right here, change this thing. And you're like, okay, I think I know what you're talking about. You pointed there. I'm assuming you meant the hand. That happens a lot. So if they can draw on it, even better. One other thing there is you should put frame numbers on your demo reel. That way, if someone's like, okay, from this point until around here, that can get kind of hard to track if you're trying to absorb that feedback and someone's telling you, yeah, at this point when this thing is happening. So if you put frame numbers baked into your clip, people can say, okay, from 91 to 105, the hand is looking a little floaty. You should try to speed that up and make the thumb do something different. Even if you wouldn't normally do that, it's helpful in a review setting. It might also be a good idea to separate your reel into individual shots and have those files as well. That way they're not trying to replay a certain portion of it and they're overshooting and you're going back to your walk cycle or something. Just have the shot by itself so they can just keep replaying it without having to worry about the scrubbing part of it. Music is a hot topic whenever we're talking about a demo reel, but for this event, for CTN or even SIGGRAPH, if you're bringing your reel, it's probably going to be in a pretty noisy area and people are going to try and hear whatever needs to be heard. Music doesn't need to be heard unless it's like integral to your shot. If it's really important to whatever you animated is like to the music, sure. But if it's just there as filler, you may as well take it out for this event, because if you don't need to hear it, it's just gonna compete with all the other noises, and you wanna make sure that there's no distraction between you getting that feedback, and if there is dialogue in your shot, that's what they need to be hearing. Hi, George. This is George, everybody. He's really fluffy. Another super important thing about demo reels, and this is something I've heard from animators working in the industry who are talking about CTN specifically, who are getting ready to go and review student work. We've had conversations about headphone use. If you have dialogue in your shot, things that people need to hear when reviewing your work, do not bring earbuds. Those little things that go in your ear, do not bring those and give them to those and say, okay, here, listen to my shot and plug it into your phone or iPad or whatever. Do not give them earbuds. They don't want it, I promise you. And they'll be distracted from your work, or they'll hold them and be like, oh great, okay, yeah, I can hear it, kinda. Bring a pair of headphones, actual headphones, something that goes on or over the ears, but nothing that goes in the ears. No one wants that, it's gross, you know where they've been, are they clean? Just don't, trust me. That drives people crazy. One last thing about your demo reel or portfolio, you may be a student who does a lot of different stuff. Your school may give you a lot of different assignments over a varied range of topics or disciplines. So if you have a lot of different work and you're wondering, should I put it all in one reel? Should I make different reels? What do I do? You should have a general reel that you want to show people. If you're like, oh, like, what do you do? And it's a casual conversation, you should show them, oh, this is what I do. Here's a good highlight reel of some of my favorite pieces across the different mediums. That's totally okay. But if you're gonna go up to Pixar or Blue Sky or Sony and you're gonna ask them for feedback on your work, you probably want to have it a little bit more tailored and specific. So you should have an animation reel and an illustration reel or your character design portfolio, and you can separate these things out. That way, if you're talking to somebody who is specialized in one of these things, you can give them the thing that they can help you the most with, and then find somebody else who can help you with the other thing. So bring the most tailored, specialized stuff to the people who can best help you with it. And that means if you have a lot of work in one category, like if you do a lot of 3D animation, and you have some cartoony stuff, and some realistic stuff, and some creature stuff, you should also try to tailor your reel to the studios that you want to show. If you're gonna go show your stuff to Blue Sky or to Sony Pictures Animation, historically they have a lot of really pushed and cartoony style stuff, so make sure you have some of that on your reel. But if you're gonna go to ILM and show them your work, you're probably gonna want way more of that creature stuff, the realistic work, because they work with a lot of live action visual effects stuff, which is usually not as pushed. And that goes for whether you're showing stuff to Blizzard for games and you want to have a lot of game cycles, or if you're going over to Pixar, they're not probably going to want to see as many cycles. But that may not be true if you're going for the cycles positions, so it just depends on what you're going for. You should bring all of your work, but you should just come prepared with lots of different versions, and so you have stuff to pick and choose and show people the things that they want to see. Oh, and one last thing, if you have enough of that work that you have a varied range, and not everyone does, most people don't, so if you're like, I don't have any of that, don't stress. If you get to the point where you're no longer doing class assignments, do the walk cycle, personality walk, vanilla walk, bouncing ball, pendulum. Once you get past that point and you're starting to just make your own stuff, you want to start taking off the school assignments and the walk cycles and that kind of stuff, because everybody's got that on the reels at one point, and you'd like to get to the point where it's just you and your work and the stuff that you put your creativity into, and less of what you were assigned to do. And it's okay if that's all you have for a while, that's totally fine. But if you've got a large portfolio of work, it's better to have a smaller reel of your best and favorite stuff than to have just everything all shoved in there. People would much rather see what you think is your best work. Now, talking about how to prep for this event, and for a lot of these events, I want to talk very specifically about the mental state and kind of the expectations of what you're getting yourself into, what you're going here for. A lot of people struggle with confidence and being extroverts and talking to lots of people, sometimes putting your work out there for other people to judge and give feedback on. I've been talking to a lot of you guys who are planning on going to this event, and I'm excited to see you there, but so many of you guys are putting such crazy pressure on yourself at this event. Like, it's meant to be fun. Let's just get that out of there. This is meant to be a fun event. So I want to give you a couple things to help you just kind of going into this to help set your mind at ease. The first thing is confidence. If you are a confident person, then that's going to help you. But if you're not a confident person and you're more introverted, more shy, nervous about this whole thing, it's not going to hurt you. Don't worry. And you can fake confidence to a point. It's how I got through it the first time. I had no idea what I was doing and was super nervous about everybody I met. I felt like the least talented person and the least qualified to be there of anybody. I had just started Animation Mentor. I still was just barely doing ball bounces, and here everyone had all this great work. But I just told myself, I'm here for a reason. I've started, I'm looking into this, I'm interested in animation, and I want to learn more. And I'm confident that that's where I'm at, and I'm going to get better with time. And so that was my confidence. It doesn't have to be, I'm the best and I'm going to be so great. You don't want to be showboaty and you don't want to be cocky, but you don't have to be confident, I'm going to do great. It can just be, hey, I'm okay with where I'm at now, because this is all about where you are in your creative journey, not comparing yourself to other people, which is hard to do, and at these events it's even harder to do sometimes. But if nothing else, if you can't do confidence, then you should just do friendliness, because everybody's super nice and you want to make sure that you're one of those people. You don't want to be someone who's not friendly. So if I had to tell you between those two things of which one to choose to be more friendly and just nice to people, wave, smile, just have a nice time. The next thing I want to share with you is be open to feedback. A lot of people get nervous about these things in the same vein, and they don't want to show their work because they feel like they're not ready and it's not good enough and this doesn't quite represent what I can do. I know I can do better. This doesn't prove that. That's okay. Most of us feel that way. Put yourself out there. It helps you get better much quicker. And it's something you have to get used to in the industry, just getting feedback. George is back. Hello. But when you're getting feedback, let me give you one more piece of advice, and this is true across the board, not just at events, but don't explain your choices if you're not asked about it. If someone says, yeah, I'm not, this part isn't reading, this emotion isn't clear, I'm not sure exactly what this character wants or feels, I would do this instead. If someone's giving you this advice for your shot, if you're doing animation, hey George, you don't need to spend your time saying, well, what I was thinking is that, this had just happened and so I wanted him to da-da-da-da. Don't do it. They've spoken. It doesn't read. It doesn't come through exactly as you wanted. And that happens sometimes. People in the industry will do shots for movies and they'll be like, oh, this is going to read this way. And it doesn't. The director says, I'm not sure what's going on here. Do this instead. It's not your job to argue and say, well, actually what I was thinking. Your job is to say, okay, let me take another stab at it and I'm going to make this better. So if you're showing your work to somebody and they're trying to give you feedback, don't try to explain and argue and say, well, this is what I was thinking and here's why I think it's good. They're giving you valuable feedback. You should stop it. Stop it. Stop. If you're showing your work to somebody and they're giving you, okay. If you're showing your stuff to somebody and they're taking their time to give you valuable feedback, get off of my desk. You're not allowed up here. You know it. Off. If somebody's taking the time to look at your work and give you some feedback, you should just absorb it. There are questions you can ask to help clarify and make sure you're getting the right kind of feedback, but either way, absorb whatever you can and don't argue about feedback, just to take it in, be open to it. These people are trying to help you get hired, not trying to tear down your work. And the last and one of the most important things that I want to share is so many people go in thinking, I'm gonna go to CTN, I'm gonna get a job in animation, I'm gonna meet the right people, I'm gonna make the right connections. And that's been known to happen. Like, I'm not telling you that's not true. Like, there are so many jobs that come as a result of this event. And there are tons of great connections and relationships that are made happening at this event. But the key word I want you to focus on is not jobs and it's not connections, but it's relationships. It's great to have connections. It's great to have, who you know and you're in the right place at the right time and all that kind of stuff, but none of that matters if you can't do the work. So the first thing is you just gotta get better, gotta learn, you gotta practice and grow and just keep working so that when the opportunity arises, you're ready for it. And as far as who you know and making connection, don't go into this thinking, I'm gonna meet the right people and they're gonna help me and you're not using people, you're not trying to meet people so that blah, blah, blah. You're not doing any of this so that. You're gonna go there and hopefully you'll meet really nice people, you'll make some friends, you'll get some peers that you can get feedback from, you can talk about things, you'll have a community to involve yourself with, to ask questions and have a dialogue. And if you need support, you can reach out to these people and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Anyone relate? I'd love some advice. And sure, things happen where, someone might hear of a job and they might let you know. And so jobs happen. Like if you've watched my whole How to Become an Animator series where I talked about my journey to how I got hired at DreamWorks initially, I shared that I got my job through CTN. It was a huge part of it. But it wasn't because I went and I got a job at CTN or I went and I made the right connection. Like I went and formed a relationship and then the next year I went, I met up with that same person and the story's all already there. But people put such pressure on themselves. If I'm gonna go to this event, I'm gonna get a job. And it's been known to happen, sure. But don't go in with that kind of pressure on yourself. Just go in and have a good time, meet people, make relationships that matter. And also keep in mind, everyone in the industry is super nice, super down to earth. You could run into a director of a big movie that you love, a producer, somebody who's still more beginner than you are. It doesn't matter. People from all ranges here are at the event. And all of the people who go are there to help each other. So don't go in there trying to find the biggest recruiters and the biggest directors and the producer that's gonna give you a job. Like, just talk to the people around you and make good friends, and that stuff will come with time. As you grow and as you meet people, like that will all happen. But you need to do it for the right reasons. So be friendly, be confident, you're at whatever stage you are, and whether or not you're even at the event this year, if you're gonna go next year or whatever, you are wherever you currently are on your creative journey, and that's okay. Everyone has their own path. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just enjoy the ride and make some friends along the way. It makes it a lot easier. Anyways, that's my advice on how to prepare for CTN. Hopefully it's helpful wherever you are in your journey. Those of you looking for more educational resources, check out my Patreon down below. We do a lot of live Q&As where I teach stuff. Those are super fun. Highly recommend joining them. For those of you going to CTN, I will see you there. And for those of you not, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.